Hey RATBAGGERS, it's Jade with 21 big action adventure survival crafting games you need to know about for 2025. Whether they've got a really unique art style, offering something a bit more cozy, or focus on adventure and maybe old school RPG mechanics mixed in with vibrant open worlds, I've got you covered today. From creature collecting cozy games to Minecraft rip-offs, Pixar-esque graphics, or games that look like they belong in a Funko box. Not to mention some big sequels, some of the best survival games going. I'm so excited about 2025. Every game you're going to see is going to be either first or third person, showing off the best in either adventure games, more chill, cozy survival experiences, great games you can play with your pals, or I've got some really unique art styles. As always, the home of survival news, games and guides. Make sure you subscribe, look out for future 2025 video lists, and let me know which game you're most hyped for. Starting 2025 strong, Aloft offers 1 to 8 co-op survival action as you fly around the skies, defeating all sorts of fungal creatures as you try and purify a whole host of different islands. Utilising your wing gliders, making sure you've got enough tools to go ahead and harvest the multitude of resources needed to go and build yourself bases and transform an island into your own actual ship. Aloft has had many demos over the last couple of years, and each one has pretty much added more content than I've seen in early access games. Published by Funcom, the game will be releasing on the 15th of January on PC, and honestly I can't wait. I think the polish that has gone into the development of this game, it's really shown over the last few years. So while the creatures are somewhat one note with their mushroom appearances, I'm hoping that will improve as it carries on through early access, but that's pretty much the only kind of constructive criticism I can think of. The rest of the world is pretty stunning in this gorgeous art style. The freedom of flying through the air and the clouds, and that ability to play with your friends across either official servers, on your own, with them, in co-op and more, certainly is appealing. The usual stuff accompanies this game, with lots of farming as well as animal husbandry. Collect yourself a bunch of little baby goats or pheasants and hopefully build up enough food and resources to survive. With 3 unique biomes to explore, tons of building pieces, I'm really looking forward to this one. There's a chance that oppidum might actually release before the end of 2024 as of this recording, but since there's still no confirmation one way or another, I'm going to hedge my bets and say it's probably going to be here very early 2025. Oppidum is going to be a survival adventure game for 1 to 4 players with a unique story to follow along. Seemingly you are maybe a boy or girl scout somehow transported to a magical new land where you'll be helping the actual locals try and survive and get rid of a corruption. The enemy choice in this game seems to be a lot bigger and better than what I've seen so far from Aloft. The combat looks like a pretty good throwback to old action RPG games that you would have played in the past, with new armour and weapons seemingly a strong focus as you try and collect enough resources and build up a special kind of resource or currency to basically help cleanse the land and take on more of the enemies. Not too sure about the base building capabilities in this game, more so looking like campsite stuff where you put different crafting benches down and decorations. So base builders out there, this might not be exactly what you're looking for right now, but if you're looking for an adventure game where the focus is on the combat and how you take on different enemies collecting resources, then maybe oppidum will be for you. Releasing on Steam, not in early access, a full-blown game. Let's hope the combat against very different enemies and maybe some bosses is enough to keep players' interest, replaying it over and over. For now, the last of a trio of action survival games, Voyagers of Nera offers island hopping survival as you try and explore multiple different islands using a variety of different transports like skiffs, surfboards and wing gliders. Harnessing the power of elemental spirits that you'll come across, and the usual survival fare of collecting lots of stone and wood to build up your bases. Somewhat a cross between the previous 2 games I just mentioned, you can go ahead and place down these blueprint prefab structures, but then you can also go and customize them, adding new styled windows and more, and a lot of decoration features. So while not full blown base building that you might expect, it still offers a lot more customization. Some of the enemies look absolutely massive, so it's going to be a challenge taking them on, and you may need a friend or 2. You can play it solo or with up to 10 players max on a dedicated server, or just join in peer to peer. I would say this gives me kind of the most Fortnite-esque style vibes in terms of the characters and the art style. And I'm hoping that the creatures that we may be able to have as our pets or spirits will certainly give a bit more variety to how we play the game. I've already checked out a demo of this recently on my second channel, where the vast majority of these games you're seeing today will be showcased in the future, so make sure you subscribe to JPG Crafted. So far, I'm predicting this to come out at some point between Q1 and Q2 next year. If you're looking for something a bit more chill, then maybe Astrobotanica is for you. You're an alien that set foot on Earth in a very ancient times where Neanderthals rule. You'll have to go around testing and gathering lots of resources, utilising your role as a botanist to survive and hopefully help the primal humans evolve. So lots of farming, lots of messing around with concoctions. This game is a single player game coming early next year. Maybe a little bit similar, but this time you are human and you are on a tropical alien paradise, with the intent being that you're going to manipulate certain genes and maybe creatures as you make a little research station and home for yourself with these pods, a la very much like Subnautica. It's a single player game and it definitely has a lot more of a chill vibe than most, although there is some action as some creatures will be dangerous, and you will have to focus a little bit on powering up your scientific bases. It does sound cool mixing and matching and trying to come up with new varieties of creatures and plants. That's pretty much where the positives might end. It's just been taken over as publisher by Snail Games, the owners of the Ark franchise, and a whole bunch of failures that they've initially given support to and then abandoned in Steam Early Access. Hopefully Honeycomb The World Beyond can manage to make it, and we'll see what goes on when it releases now on its delayed release date, early 2025. Now, something I'm sure is going to absolutely be a massive success, it is of course Subnautica 2. Technically free if you include Below Zero, but whatever. This full sequel is going to be launching on Steam and Xbox in game preview, and I've got a good feeling it will be the first half of 2025. For the very first time, natively adding proper co-op action. It's going to be up to 1 to 4 players. A completely brand new planet, new characters, new experiences, and of course all new creatures and biomes to go and explore underneath the watery depths. It's quite frankly going to be one of the biggest survival games of the year, no doubt. The previous two have sold millions upon millions of copies across all platforms. There's no reason why this won't be a huge success either. After all the rumours about it potentially being a live service style game with microtransactions, battle passes, and maybe even more than 4 players, maybe huge server side style, it's glad to see they're actually bucking all of that and just making a good solid game by the looks of things. And now you've got someone else to cry with in the dark down below. So many of everyone's favourite survival games rely on you building bases to usually just have a somewhere to go and store your crafting benches and your million boxes of wood. So how about we mix it up? How about you have a moving base? How about you have one of these survival machines and you have to go along defending it from zombies that will attack on a nightly basis? This is Survival Machine. It's going to be, I do believe, a co-op focused game eventually, and it does look like it should be fun. I've usually got a bit of a downer on any games that have these kind of polygon characters. So many of them seem to be bought from the same packs, and it just looks very similar to so many other games. But I gave the demo of this a shot recently, and actually it wasn't too bad. Definitely needs some more work, and it's pretty grindy for sure solo. But I had small tiny little puzzles, elements to go and find, and then hopefully bring back with you, and a variety of different ways you can customise your ship, or trying to pretty much stay alive from the hungry hordes. I'm hoping they lean more and more into wacky base defense style stuff. Survival Machine is going to be a co-op focused game, coming out hopefully very soon. 1 to 4 players, peer-to-peer as you might expect. Go and check out the demo on Steam right now. One of 2 Minecraft clones, as I mentioned at the start of the video. This is Tesera. Is that really fair? Minecraft's been around a long time now, surely you can just say inspired. Well, maybe, yeah. Actually, a lot of people are comparing this to Hytale, another Minecraft clone, and then we'll talk about that towards the end of the video, that still hasn't got a release date. But seemingly, these guys have beat them to the punch. It's got a free demo version that you can play on their own website. I don't believe it's available on Steam just yet, and to all intents and purposes, it does look very much like a Minecraft kind of inspired open world crafting voxel game. Maybe somewhat trying to differentiate itself from the competitors. It's also got a whole ton of guns in it as well. Maybe not as bombastic as Power World, but I've definitely seen a pistol, a modern looking one, in the hands of one of the characters here. Not too sure when it's going to be arriving on Steam, but as I said, it does look like it's got its own website and should be coming out relatively soon. In fact, this has been in development a while. I do remember coming across this a couple of years ago in some sort of trailer. So not generating as much hype as Hytale, but certainly beating them to the punch in terms of having a playable voxel survival crafting game. And I've maybe saved the best thing for last. It's actually a browser type game, or so I can find right now. It takes minimal time to go ahead and click and play if you check out their website, and it seems to be running, or will be able to run, on the most basic of systems when it does release on Steam. Yeah, I'm not sure how that all works, but that's what they're promising. Even the most basic systems, you'll be able to run it even on integrated graphics. So I'm guessing it's very server based, and in terms of streaming the game really online. I am intrigued, so I probably will take a look at this in the near future. As always, like so many of these games, as I said, on my JPG Crafted channel. So starting off maybe in a more primitive time, but building up to something a bit more cosmic, Tesera. Under Canopies is going to be a more chill experience if you're looking to live life in a nice beautiful woods, all with a pretty unique art style. Does remind me a little bit of Among the Trees, and hopefully it can do a lot better than that game since it kind of ceased developing after it had just come out of early access randomly and with not much content added. This does have full base build in it, so you can build cozy little cottages as you explore a lovely forest and hopefully build a nice tranquil home to take some rest and respite from the dangers and harshness of your other survival games. There's a demo available right now you can check out for this single player crafty cozy survival game coming soon. You maybe wouldn't equate Bohemia, the makers of DayZ and the Armour series, as maybe going for a cute and crafty game, but that's exactly what they're doing when they're helping publish Skyverse. And I know what you're thinking, yes, is this the other actual Minecraft clone he was talking about? Yeah, you could look at it that way. I actually think this has got more about it than just simply a Minecraft knockoff. It seems to be much more focused on role-playing and just simple RPG mechanics. But it has got capybaras, so come on, that's a reason enough to go and buy it, right? The other way this game differentiates itself from other voxel games is you are flying around in the sky in your own special airships that you'll build and construct. This is a solo or co-op or multi-cross-platform game, so I'm guessing it's going to be arriving on consoles at the same time, or perhaps mobile. I do believe it doesn't necessarily have the full block-on-block building like Minecraft. It's more a case of just being able to upgrade and rebuild your ship as you explore different islands in the sky, hopefully to get more loot, more precious jewels, and hopefully stay alive. Not too sure where the capybaras come into it. Maybe there's some pets or some animal husbandry that you can do. Be pretty dangerous though, having a creature on your floating airship. You'd have to put some fences down for sure. But you know what? I kind of like the vibe of this, so definitely be checking it out. No release window other than just 2025. So with Aloft, Skyverse, do you think that's enough floating survival island games? Nah, we can squeeze a couple more. How about Lost Skies? This is made by the same studio that first originally made Worlds Adrift. This is their reimagining as a co-op survival action game now, instead of a full-blown MMO. They went on to make a series of hit games including Iron Bread and other similar physics-based games, so I'm hoping with all the knowledge they gained through their failure pretty much of Worlds Adrift, as well as their most recent successes, they can make Lost Skies a real hit. Combining slightly sci-fi action with maybe something a bit more ethereal. I love the idea of floating around, using my grappling hook to get higher places and maybe check out more dangerous dungeons, all while we're piloting our own special airships. You'll need to kit them out in the best defences possible and maybe more offensive capabilities as you take on massive bosses floating in the sky. Single player or with up to, I do believe, 4 others. With the frequency of their dev blogs, I would expect this to release mid-2025. And here we go, the last island hopping survival game we're going to be talking about in this video. This is Solarpunk. Had a pretty successful Kickstarter. Given their dev blogs and such like, I would expect this maybe to release towards the end of 2025 perhaps, with full base building, setting out a cozy home on an island, and yes, having your own airship that you'll utilise to fly around and gather more resources. There's got to be some solar power in there, right? With a name like Solarpunk, as you grow your own crops in your special farm, partake in a little bit of fishing, and pretty much rear some chickens, pigs and more. Solarpunk seems like the perfect mix of that kind of no technology building and peaceful tranquilness with maybe more renewable sources to power up and live your life, hopefully generating enough to keep your farm running, as well as digging for ores and a lot more. Chill out on your own or get together with some friends, as it will offer some co-op action. And yeah, definitely one of the more chill games in here, but also one of the prettiest if you like that kind of vibe. I do hope there is a little bit more with the automation and maybe the power mechanics to make this game a little bit more interesting than your just standard survival chill, and that the islands we explore will definitely be worth it, but so far so good. And it's been announced for consoles too. Are you still awake out there? It's okay, don't worry, we've got something to hopefully liven you up a bit now. This is Bounty Star. You will be taking control of a powerful mech as you explore some sort of Wild West, gathering resources and basically beating the crap out of other mech robots and drones. That's seemingly the premise of Bounty Star. It looks to be a single player game where you will be able to customise and kit out your drone to all sorts of different specific mechanics and go and kick 2 cans out of the competition. The combat looks pretty fast and fluid, and there's definitely still an element of coziness as you will be needing to customise, upgrade and decorate your base to hopefully get you the right resources and keep you alive, I guess. Hasn't been much news about this since its initial reveal late last year, so I hope it is on track, but I would presume that maybe we will start hearing more news about it towards the start of 2025. Definitely a little bit more action based rather than maybe full blown survival, although you will need to prepare meals and it does have like the custom base stuff going on with it as well. It's not the first cozy mixing with mechs we've seen. Lightyear Frontier obviously launched earlier on this year, but this definitely feels a bit more bombastic and obviously has got a lot more combat. So really intrigued by this one, hopefully we'll see some news soon. I can't wait to dust off some Titanfall quotes. So I mentioned Funko Pops, and this is kind of the game that I was referencing. It's not technically a Funko Pops game, it is something its own. It's called Zeverland, and it's going to be a zombie post-apocalyptic MMO. Yes, you will be on live servers much like DayZ or Rust, and no kind of single player in sight. So cute and colourful zombies versus players with lots of guns, exploring city and countryside, and being able to upgrade and customise a whole variety of different vehicles. Add to that the ability that you can play as a zombie if you end up getting bit or succumbing. I'm not too sure how that will work out afterwards, but it does seem to be adding yet another new mechanic and layer to it. It's a weird one. It's obviously meant to be invoking that cute and coziness with the character models and some of the farming shenanigans you get up to, but then it's got full blood and gore in the game too. Honestly, I'm pretty intrigued by now with the ability to really go for it with these vehicles and make them pretty spectacular, from fast moving Corvettes to maybe huge flatbed trucks that you can build massive bases on. The game's seemingly going to have a ton of different seasons and elemental weather effects that you have to be careful of. It's even got inside building activities as well as you start to explore, so yeah, I'm down for this one. No firm release date, hence we're getting to the end of this video now where so much of it will just be labelled 2025, but definitely looking forward to this. Imagine an Alice in Wonderland survival game. That's what Across the Wonderlands is trying to convey in a mythical kind of whimsical world, in fact, where you go and take on a bunch of weird slugs, utilising all sorts of different fruits and vegetables to give yourself elemental buffs. Add to that a magical briefcase that you can use to teleport to another dimension where you can set up big huge bases. And that in a nutshell is Across the Wonderlands. It's going to be a co-op focused game or single player, and it's got a demo available now, so go and give it a try. I checked this out on my second channel a little while ago. It definitely needs some work with the inventory management and onboarding, but if you like the idea of big colourful explosions and something definitely a little bit out there, then Across the Wonderlands is something to watch in 2025. Powerworld has absolutely reignited the creature collecting phenomenon that actually quite a lot of survival games have had over the years. Think games like Ark, or even be able to capture certain stuff in Conan Exiles. But no doubt about it, Powerworld really has taken it to other levels. So what if you mixed that kind of mechanic of grabbing strange creatures and getting them to work for you back at your base? This seemingly is the premise of Among the Wild, which also has a wide variety of usual crafting tropes. You'll be base building, setting up little farmsteads, and then hopefully picking up all these strange furry critters to bring back to your farm and hopefully help you around. Made by a tiny little Swedish studio, it's got one of the devs that previously worked as community manager for Satisfactory, so they're going to be in good hands when we do start getting even more info. At the moment it does look like it's going to be a single player only game. It will offer mounts and other ways to get around your procedurally generated maps, with a focus on unique biomes and maybe weather effects too. If they can nail that kind of loop between getting your creatures to procreate and maybe create even more of the little critters, I think this game could really nail some mechanics fans really like, especially in Ark in terms of rearing babies and kind of getting the best versions they can. It's not all furry though, there are these stone critters and these watery types too. I have no idea what he's doing there, but yeah, it all does look pretty interesting. I can't wait to check this out in 2025. I really liked Tribes of Midgard a few years ago when it came out. It was a top-down survival Viking action game. The art style of that game seemingly has been transported now into a proper third-person take. This is Stormforge, where the focus will be on you collecting and getting new resources to get better gear and take on a whole host of goblins and more foes. With full base building and cooperative play, it does look like you'll be able to build up settlements, homes of your dreams, and then fend them off against all sorts as you explore multiple different types of biomes. Seems to borrow some elements of maybe Norse mythology, but mixed in with others. Looking forward to more details about this game very soon. So a game I've been hyping up for a number of years now, one of the first tubers to cover its initial reveal. Under a Rock is going to be a 1 to 8 player, I do believe, maybe 1 to 10 co-op focused adventure game set in a alternate 1920s where you have been washed up across some tropical paradise with volcanoes and dodos. The trailer has been very Pixar-esque, but I've been following development this a while and it does seem to have all the ingredients to make it a hit. Hopefully it can pull it all off. It's got tames in it, it's got lots of creatures to go and fight, including Neanderthals, giant crabs and a lot more as you try and survive maybe harsh biomes, maybe foreign and unique plant life, and plenty of cute critters to also go ahead, tame, mount and utilise. All set within procedurally generated worlds. Under a Rock is promising so much and it's definitely getting hype, but it's been a while since we've seen any concrete new stuff, apart from screenshots shared almost on a daily basis it seems on their X account. I'm a bit disappointed we haven't seen too much more from them. Maybe that will be more revealed at the Game Awards, but yeah, we're looking forward to actually seeing some proper full-blown gameplay, although we have seen a little bit with gliding, using some of the grapple hooks and running away from some of the Neanderthals as we finish off with base building, with tiki huts being a very much prominent thing, and exploring dark and dank caves, as well as being able to explore underwater. Also announced for consoles as well, and I know some of you console fans will probably still be commenting right now, oh, most of these games aren't coming. It's just the way it works. Most of them will be PC releases first, iron out the kinks, and then hopefully with success bring it to other platforms. I don't really doubt any different for this game, but like I said, it does list a lot of console platforms at the end of its most recent trailer from last year, so fingers crossed it has got a chance of appearing sooner rather than later. So obviously I did mention Hytale much earlier, and yes, it's going to be included here. This could be the year 2025 when we actually see a release window of sorts. I'm hoping so. It first got announced back in 2018, 61 million views on that trailer. Since then, they got bought out by Riot Games. They've had a number of years where they've revamped and basically brought a whole bunch of their development back to square one, changing engines and maybe some of the focuses of the game, but still trying to deliver on that initial trailer promise. If you don't know, Hytale is made by some of the most famous modders from Minecraft days, the Hypixel series of servers. There has been some changes though with the founders that made them as well as this game, with one of them most recently departing in the last year. But with all the funding that they've got from Riot, all the hype that's generated from being able to make even a more, I would say, Minecraft 2 game than Minecraft could maybe come up with, there's probably not going to be anyone better to deliver the next best Minecraft clone. Back in 2023 they announced they wouldn't have anything to show that year, and the likelihood would be that there would be no new announcements really in 2024 either. But last few days some hype has been building, they've been teasing little bits here and there, so I fully expect some sort of release window trailer to pop up either now very soon or at the Game Awards. combining mini-games that you're used to playing on the Hypixel servers but in a new version of their own, with a focus on modding out the box and creators to be able to make their own machinima very quickly and easily. I'm really hoping that Hytale can really pull off everything it's been hyped up to be over the years. We just need a release date now. As I've mentioned, I've got more list videos incoming, taking a look at the bigger, more well-known survival games you're expecting to see, and maybe some hardcore experiences like shooters or really harsh environments to survive in. So more than likely you will find Light No Fire in a whole bunch of other list videos, simply because it does cross so many types of subgenres in the survival. It's got fantasy elements, it's got sandbox elements, it seemingly might have MMO or large multiplayer elements. But first and foremost, it's got a very distinct art style, just like their previous game, No Man's Sky. And absolutely, it is an adventure survival game by all means. Hopping on your dragon as you fly through the skies, looking for maybe new resources or maybe new dangers. Out of all the games I've covered today, I would say only maybe Subnautica 2 and Grounded 2 have piqued my interest as much as Light No Fire, with maybe Under a Rock a close fourth. But will it release in 2025? That is a big question. It did obviously get showcased last year and everyone's been super hyped and excited for it. Hello Games, the devs have previously stated they don't want to do too much lead time, having learned their mistakes from No Man's Sky and maybe over-promising stuff in so many interviews. So there was a hope that this might have actually released this year. But with so much development still going on with No Man's Sky and actually taking some of the elements from Light No Fire and backporting it to that game, I can't see this releasing now obviously, and it might even still be a stretch that it releases in 2025. I'm guessing we'll hear more info at the Game Awards coming up, so expect lots of coverage of this game in the future from me for sure. But praying for a 2025 release. And now finishing off with a game that's meant so much to me over the years, Grounded has become my second most viewed content, over 27 million views across both my channels. I've charted its first initial reveal all the way through the last nearly 5 years of its development and subsequent ending. They announced no more new content would come to the game about 5 to 6 months ago, but at the same time launching on PlayStation and Switch for the first time. It was really weird. If you never heard of Grounded, you are shrunken down to the size of an ant and you have to survive while clearing out mysterious scientific laboratories, fighting huge bugs and spiders and trying to basically get big again. It's one of the best RPG story survival games you can play, with base building, crafting so many different weapons, and they added a ton more after its release. Given it was in early access for 2 years before then fully releasing out of it, I reckon they'll go down the same route again for a sequel. 20 million players have played it via either Game Pass or buying the game on Xbox, as well as a good few million on Steam, and I'm sure the same kind of numbers on Switch and PlayStation. And while nothing has been explicitly said about a sequel, it'd be crazy not to make one. It's viewed highly within Xbox, with Microsoft's Phil Spencer rating it as one of the viral moments of his tenure. The game was made by a small team within Obsidian, so they're not working anymore on Avowed or any of the other projects that Obsidian got cooking, with different teams handling them. So it does look like this team have got a free space. And unless they're going to suddenly pop out New Vegas 2, I'm absolutely guaranteeing it's going to be Grounded 2, and I'm hoping it will go down the early access route. We might get a release date towards the end of 2025. Maybe I'm just coping hard, but Grounded has given me some of the most successful times on YouTube with views and more. I can't wait for another sequel to one of my favourite games of all time. Let me know, out of any of these games, which one you're most hyped for. Like I said, look out for more list videos from me soon, and thanks a lot for sticking to the end and watching it all the way through. Laters, Ratbags.